Good morning, Brandi, and thanks for joining us today. It's Tuesday morning, it's Tuesday afternoon, about 2 o'clock, and it is May the 5th, Mental Health Awareness Month. Thank you for coming in to do the interview or signing on to do the interview with us. We're super happy to have you here. For those that don't know, Brandi has been working with NAMI Piedmont Tri-County for
about 4 years.
About 4 years. And
Yeah.
so we both have been doing the presentations in schools and high schools, and also to people in the community. So, Brandi, do you want to just get started and tell us what Mental Health Month means to you?
Yeah, Mental Health Awareness Month, it means a lot because I feel like awareness is really, really important. It kind of helps combat that stigma that surrounds mental health. And just because the earlier you seek treatment, the better you are, the better life you have. Right now it takes on average 8 to 10 years from the first symptom to people actually getting help, and we definitely want to reduce that. So spreading the word and, just talking about it is a good thing.
Okay, and so what brought you to NAMI Piedmont Tri-County in the first place? Do you want to share a little bit of that?
Yeah, my daughter struggles, and we got introduced to NAMI through that, and just going through and talking with the people and doing some of the programs, I got asked about possibly doing the Ending the Silence program because I started struggling when I was a teenager, and it kind of took off from there.
Can you explain what that Ending the Silence program is? Can you tell us a little bit more about that?
Absolutely. We go into schools and we talk to high schoolers, usually 9th, 10th graders, and we mental health awareness and suicide prevention. We go in and we give them signs of mental health and what they can do if they notice those in themselves or others. We give them signs of suicide, and the same thing with that, what they can do if they notice that in themselves or others. Just to give them those tools to kind of handle these things that we know that they're going through. We also kind of give them a little bit of hope. We tell them if you are struggling, we give them examples of how many people are struggling, how many people in their age group, and we also, tell them how they can do better, therapies, coping skills, the difference between negative and positive coping skills, and then we also have a young adult speaker who comes in and shares part of their story.
So do you think that the high school students, when we're talking to them, what's the most prevalent thing that you see with the high school students at the end of the presentations? How's that received?
They want it there. They need it there. And we have been told so many times by hundreds and hundreds of students that they are so glad that we are there. We've been asking recently before all the corona started, we were asking the kids how many of them had actually had to help a friend through a moment where they were suicidal, and at least half of the classes raised their hand. So it's really important that we are there and help these kids deal with the problems that they're having. It's a struggle. I've had to help friends that were like that as an adult, and it's a struggle as an adult. It's you don't know what to do. You're really scared. You want to help them. So just imagining having half the experience, and still going through that and having to try and help someone.
Thank you. You had said that your daughter had struggled, and I'm in the same category. I've had kids that have struggled. What was your best intervention so far? Do you believe? Do you believe there's something that you've done so far that's helped, or?
Finding the right therapy for her, finding the right treatment for her, I think has been the best help. And looking into it myself, for us, we have the same illness, so I kind of know what's going on with her. But even having the same illness and going through kind of the same things she went through, the same signs that she went through, it was still really hard for me as a parent, because without awareness, you don't know much about it, and we're just recently getting into a lot of awareness things with mental health. So it was kind of, what do I do? Where do I turn? But yeah, finding her the best therapy has been, or the right therapy has been the best help for her.
And do you think that that's the difference now from when we're going into schools than from when we were teenagers kind of struggling with similar things or going through different struggles? Do you think it's more open now? Do you think it's easier to find therapy or easier to find support services? Or do you think it's still a big stigma and still a big problem?
Oh, most definitely. I think it still is a problem. I think people may not know how easy it is to get access to it, but it's definitely much, much easier than we were younger. It wasn't even talked about. I was told that I was just, a moody teenager, that there was nothing even wrong with me. And now, you have parents who are seeing these signs in their kids, or are, believing their kids when they're telling them they're having, issues or struggling. But yeah.
That's good. So how are you guys doing during the quarantine? How is that affecting your household during the quarantine?
Um, it's definitely tense. Um, we both have, yeah, it's intense. Just
Yeah.
being all together. I've been trying to find things for them to do, games and stuff like that, and ways to get out of the house, but it's kind of hard when you're stuck.
And how's the schooling going with you being at home with varying rages? Because I do know that for those that don't know, Brandi has children from 5 to
5. I have 5, 10, 12. The older ones are doing great. All their stuff's online. And my younger one, my 10-year-old's doing good. She has ADD, or ADHD, so that's a struggle for me. And I think the setting change for her is really throwing her off. Just being home, she knows that's where she relaxes and kind of plays, and getting her to focus has been a challenge, but we're getting there.
It's always one day at a time, right? And I think, yeah, I think it's
like, if we don't get it done, I'm not super stressing. I'm like, okay, we'll work on this tomorrow. Like, you've got to give yourself and them breaks. Like, you can't just push and expect them to do it, because you're going to get to a point where you're frustrated, or they're frustrated, and you just got to kind of put it away for a little while.
let it go. All right. Is there anything that you would like to say finally before we wrap this up and let you get on with your day?
Not think of.
All good. So, okay, well, we will be seeing you hopefully online, because you're doing the End in the Silence programs, I believe, online. You're doing some of those digitally, correct? Yeah, and they're all available on the NAMI South Carolina website, and I will post a link to those when we're done. But thank you so much for joining us today, Brandi. Super happy that you came and talked to us about Mental Health Awareness Month, and I will see you soon.
Thank you so
Take
much
care.
for having me.
Bye.